I was just talking to Robert Macedonio, who's the attorney for Rex Heuermann's wife, the Long Island serial killer suspect. And I can't help thinking about serial killers and how they come to be. Well, like, they're so far away from us, right? We're the flock, and they're like out here. How do they get out there? Are they born that way? Are they born bad? Are they made that way? And I remember being really entranced by Jeffrey Dahmer's father, Lionel, when I was watching an interview with him on Larry King Live on CNN a long time ago. Because I kept thinking, oh, there's got to be a flicker of a monster in those parents, right? But I didn't see it. I grabbed a soundbite of it because I wanted you to see it too, so that I want you to have the same experience I did watching that interview. Take a look at this.
Before 12, there really wasn't. I mean, if I had known about the roadkill, that would have been a red flag. I would have done something immediately, intervened. But before that, there wasn't really anything.
Would you call him a normal boy up to 12?
Yeah, except extremely shy. And one of the things I'd like to tell parents is don't disregard shyness. Things can be fomenting in that young mind. Dig. Just pull out everything that you possibly can. Don't stop. Yes, talk deeply and intensely. It'll come out, I think, eventually.
I just thought they were so normal and nice, and I thought they'd be boogeymen. So what is it? What makes those people that leave the flock and go so far? What happens? Lucky for me, I've got Dr. Katherine Ramsland. She's like one of the greatest on serial killers. So here's your bio, real quick, forensic psychologist. Your article recently, Serial Killers and Their Fathers, was published a few days ago on Psychology Today, so we had to ask you to join us today, Doctor. I keep thinking about bad parenting, and I think if bad parenting is the cause, or at least contributes to serial killers, there would be millions and millions of serial killers. So is it the parenting question? Is it just they're born bad? What do you see?
It's not just the parenting. There are multiple factors, but it's the perception of the child too. It's to some degree, it's their disposition, so that's genetic, but it's how they perceive what's happening to them and how they react and the decisions they make as a result. So if you have parents who are fighting all the time, like the Dahmers were, that feels like an unsafe environment. And so Jeffrey would withdraw and find solace in these odd little perversities, like the roadkill and the kind of animal experiments he was doing. He also started drinking at a very young age. The parents didn't notice. They were neglectful. Both parents. Doesn't mean that they were bad parents. They were fighting a lot and not noticing the effect it was having on their son, but it did not have that same effect on their other son. So it really is a very individualized process in terms of how a child is taking it in, trying to deal with it, and finding ways to feel safe and feel more powerful.
Feel like it's some of these serial killers are born bad, but with good parents, it could have been assuaged and they could have been kept in the flock. But I was super interested in Lionel Dahmer saying, don't ignore shyness. Oh, good grief. There are just so many shy kids. What are parents supposed to think or take from that about their, shy Johnny or shy Betty? What do you do with that?
I actually don't think that was a very good comment for him to make. It's not about shyness. With Jeff, he was withdrawn and he was drinking. That's what was going on, and Lionel didn't notice. He just thought he was off daydreaming somewhere. So it's really not about shyness, and I'm a little surprised he would say that. But nevertheless, when you look at some of the other serial killers and the influence of parents in their lives, we do have parents who are overbearing, were humiliating, were belittling, were aggressive, were abusive. And when we compare, for example, juvenile delinquents, when we compare those who later went on to kill, and no matter what form, whether it's just one murder or serial killing, we do see in their lives parents who are assertive, aggressive, and often belittling. And so they're trying, sometimes they get into a fantasy life where they're having rehearsal fantasies about payback and about how to re-empower themselves and how to assert themselves. So it like I said, it's an individualized process, but we are finding with the studies that we've done with parents that it's there.
Dr. Katherine Ramsland, I love having you on. Will you come back again?
Sure.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.